Hello, everyone. I'm Jean-Claude at BeyondMystic, and welcome to this very special, deep woo-woo episode entitled Teaching Children with Sherri and Janine. You can find Janine, of course, at Tarot by Janine here and Sending Ravens. And finally, you can find Sherri's work here at Sherri Divban on YouTube and also at intuitivewellnesscenter.com. Let's give them both a big warm welcome back to the show. Janine and Sherri, welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Hi, Jean-Claude.
Did I say that
Sherri.
too fast? I feel like I just had 3 cups of coffee. That was a lot for an intro. I usually split them up, so I don't know what just happened there. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us here on this live interactive show with these 2 amazing Divine Feminine teachers on my channel. I'm absolutely honored to do this show here today. There's a lot to go through, but let's first start by, maybe I'll bring you, Sherri, on the screen here. Explain to the audience here a little bit what the genesis was for this particular episode here today. We'll lay down some track there to have them understand, and then we'll get into the different topics and get Janine to ping the cards here on some of these topics for us.
Yes. Okay. So Janine and I have been collaborating for, I don't even know how long, about 9 months now, maybe. She's been working with the children through the center, and I'm so honored and just so grateful to have Janine. And so over the last year, I've been getting more and more messages in my sessions with the children. I work a lot, as most of you know, about half of my clients are children, and then the other half are adults and parents. And I've been getting a lot of profound messages from the children, whether it's their soul or their soul family that comes through. And I thought it would be a really fun opportunity to bring in Janine today so we could kind of tag team some of the information that I've been getting in my sessions and see what the cards are saying as far as the New Earth children, kind of what their messages are, the New Earth schooling coming, and what their requests are and their needs, and kind of see what Janine gets when she checks with the cards to see if she's getting some of the same things. I thought it would be a really fun opportunity and a really unique show that kind of changes the trajectory of some of the other shows that people have been watching. Just something different, something fun. And it's all about the children. So what could be better?
Hold on. There you go. I had muted myself. Awesome. Thank you for that. And perhaps to start with, why don't we talk about the Alpha Centauri message? This video you produced a couple of weeks ago was very popular. We had a lot of YouTubers take it and run with it also. Can you maybe recap here very quickly the juxt, or the, in a nutshell here, what that message was from Alpha Centauri?
Yeah, that was actually one of my favorite and one of the most profound messages. You know, I share a lot of my messages through videos and interviews, but this was the first time I actually shared verbatim a channeled message that was 4 pages long by this beautiful boy. I won't give it, well, his mom actually has come out recently and is giving permission to share, but I'll let her share those details. But the boy's name is Eden. His soul's name is Eden. He's from Alpha Centauri, and his generalized message was for humanity, which is what I realized halfway through. I was like, this message is for everybody to hear. And I asked her, I was like, Mom, can we share this? Because it was so profound, and it had a lot to do with communication and what New Earth children are here to do. And a lot of it is to help us connect from our heart space, our heart center, because for too long we've been programmed to think from the left brain, and we're cognitive and we're analyzing and we're ego based. And so these children are really coming in and teaching us to connect with our heart. And one of the ways that they're doing that right now is through telepathy. So we have a lot of nonverbal children, and they are here to encourage and teach and guide not only the parents, but their teachers and those that are in their life, to try to connect with them on an energetic basis. And this could be the first question we actually asked Janine, is if she aligns with this through the messages on the cards, is this is one of their first and primary, most important messages that they're trying to teach humanity, is to tap into the right brain through the heart center, use intuition, and connect with people on an energetic level as opposed to a cognitive level, because that's where we start to have true compassion and empathy and understanding for other people. And it creates the environment for us to build bridges, to collaborate and work together in unity, which is what these children are here to help us kind of set that tone and that trajectory. And this is one of the profound ways they're doing it, is through telepathy or nonverbal communication.
Okay. Before we ask Janine for the cards, Michelle here is asking, who is this brilliant young woman? Where can we find her? Well, you can find her here on YouTube at Sherri Divban, of course, and also on intuitivewellnesscenter.com, her website. There you go. Okay, Janine. Do you want to rephrase that just in a simple question, Sherri, for Janine? Or Janine, are you ready to pull cards on that one?
Let's recap it just so we know what we're talking about.
So we could recap it with the children are here in a nonverbal capacity to really teach us to communicate in a much more profound way.
Nice. Okay, so I would take that as a yes. And this would be maybe nonverbal because swords are thoughts and words. So they're not able to get their words out. Okay, so, and it's frustrating. It must be frustrating because they have so much to teach. Okay, but they came here purposely to do that. They came here to put that way of communicating maybe away, right? And find a different way to communicate. So there's a different way to communicate. And it'll take people patience, loving, trust, and opening up to them because she's generous. And she opens up to exactly what she needs. So the parents are going to need to learn patience, also to see their child as perfect just the way they are, and to learn how to receive, because this woman learns to receive naturally. So to learn how to naturally receive information, like what you're doing with the kids. So the parents are also learning, and people in the children's lives are learning that kind of communication. So I don't know if there's a yes, no to that, but that feels like a yes.
That felt like a yes to me. You know, one of the frustrating things that the children say is that our language is so restrictive. And I think that this is by design, by the dark side, to limit our capability of truly connecting with people in a profound way, like I mentioned, because our words are so limiting. I mean, everybody watching this, I can guarantee at one point has thought to themselves, oh, there is no words to describe what I'm thinking right now. But if we could just connect our minds together, our souls together, we would have instant downloads. We would understand and recognize what the other person is feeling, and there would be no misinterpretation. And so I think that's another reason these children are not using words, is because there are no words to describe what it is that they're feeling, so they don't talk.
Wow. Yeah, folks, go watch maybe the last video with Sherri Divban and I. We got into a little bit more detail on this, the nonverbal stuff, and also the connection between the Elephant Centauri message and Eden. And just a note on that, Janine and I were supposed to interview the mother the other day here about the pyramids, Ascension Organite Pyramids here. Her name is Carla. She'll be back this Sunday night, folks, at 6:30. Oh, wait, did I put that 6:30 p.m.? Let me get that right. No, I believe it's 5. Hold on. I might have that wrong. For some reason, I think, no, this is the old one.
That right for me.
wait. Okay, there we go. It's at 6:30, yes, on Sunday night. So we'll eventually get this one back on the books. And we do apologize. Janine and I had a scheduling snafu yesterday. Nothing nefarious, just some things happened.
Janine had a scheduling. Oh, he's taken one for the team. No, it was me. It was all me.
Okay. All right. Sherri, where do you want to go from here? Do you want to get into the teenage group? Why they're having difficulty now? Okay, so explain that to the audience.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, this is really, really important right now to talk about. It's probably the most important thing for today. The group of young ones, however you call that, the adolescent group that is challenged the most right now are the ages of probably 13, 14 through early 20s, or actually probably closer to 30. And the reason for that is this group are the way showers and the pioneers. So they are in between two worlds. So they are here to help us break down the 3D, the paradigm, all the systems. They're the ones in school saying, I don't like this. This doesn't make sense. They're talking back to their parents. They don't like the rules. They don't like the structure. They don't like anything. There's nothing that interests them in school. They're different. they're challenging, they don't like toys, you know, they have a different character, uniqueness about them, and they're struggling to find their way right now because they are not interested in school. They don't want to go to college. Or those that are older and perhaps graduated from school, they don't have any motivation to work right now. There are no jobs that interest them, or there are no subjects that hold their interest. And those are the ones that I'm working the most with right now, because I'm trying to help them understand that they are very evolved souls that came in such a critical period in our ascension, because they are here to recognize something's wrong. They have to wait a little bit for humanity to catch up. And then when the time is right and the collective consciousness has reached a point in which we are at right now, going from 4D to 5D, the job that they're meant to do will surface. But at this point in time, they're not interested in doing anything, because the job that they're meant to do does not exist. It's within the new structured system. So they're in this really awkward in-between period, and their parents are worried because they're not motivated. They won't get off the couch. They won't go to school, and they're worried about them, understandably. But the children, it's not that they're non-motivated. There's nothing that interests them. And so I'm trying to encourage them to think about, okay, if you could design the world in any way you would like, any job, even if it doesn't exist, what would interest you? And when I formulate questions like that with these children or these young adults, they light up. They're like, well, actually, if I could do anything, I would love to do this. And it's either generally in like a healer capacity or a business capacity or entrepreneurship or teacher or in the medical field, but looking completely different because they don't align with the current values system that we're in. But that's on purpose, and that's by design. And so I wanted to check with the cards too today to see if it looks like Janine already pulled some cards to see if that is in fact correct for this demographic of age groups. But there's a reason they're suffering right now. There's a reason, because they are strong and they are here to really bridge the gap between two worlds.
They are really strong. That's their card. So they got here. They're fast and furious, right? With the Chariot card, and they're ahead of the game. So, everybody has to catch up, because we're just figuring out what they already came here on some level knowing. So they already know the system's a mess. Yeah. Right? They're incredibly wise and use their intuition naturally. That's why that little cat there. So they're already really wired to be intuitive. So they have to surrender to, they can't really use it just yet. A lot of times their parents don't understand them. I mean, some parents do understand them, but a lot of them don't. Maybe they come into a whole family full of kind of normies or whatever, and they're trying to kind of bring this wisdom that inside themselves, that they don't know how to do it yet. So all of that's absolutely true. But they came here with a really big purpose, and they're going to be they're going to show the way is exactly true. This card was underneath this one. So soon their world's going to shift, and the desperate desire to chase just getting a living and doing anything just to make the money that's not going to be the point of their life. Their life already will have a lot of potential for abundance. They're going to find other ways to express themselves that isn't just survival, like what we've been doing. The main bulk of the population is just trying to survive. Both parents are working just to pay bills. And some of them can't even do that with both parents working, right? Think about it. Yeah. Okay, trying to raise kids. And these children will not necessarily that's not going to necessarily be their drive, because there's going to be more abundance available to them, which, by the way, I've been getting that nonstop. So even though they're a little bit early, and it could be a couple of years before we see it, they'll be just ready to create that new world by then, because now they're 18, 19, they're moving into it, right? Yeah, mm-hmm. It'll be completely different. There's going to be a whole takedown of all the systems, okay? And they're going to be at the very beginning of coming up with the new ideas. So they're going to be quietly going, okay, well, how about this? We're going to have a lot of really young people in leadership positions, because they're going to be the ones with the ideas. So they already came here without all the baggage of what we've been going through. Okay. And they got all these fresh new ideas, and always the youth are the ones that are going to bring the fresh new ideas. I personally just look forward to it. I absolutely love talking to 16, 11 to 16 is my favorite age group to talk to.
Wow, fascinating. Let me bring up another piece of the puzzle here that's interesting. Just last night, I had this show. Let me bring this off the screen here to give you some real estate. I had a show, The Quantum Moves, a weekly show here with Mariam Hanin, but our guest was Danielle Rodenroth. And what she was saying that in 2027, we're going to have basically a new species of human take part on this planet. And let me just backtrack and explain what she was saying here. It's a little bit complicated, but I think it ties into these nonverbal kids that Sherri is talking about. What she was saying was that up until 1781, we on the planet, we as a species, we got our encoding by the fact that Saturn was the main celestial body in our field of view where we were getting the most codes from. And after 1781, Uranus, that's when we discovered Uranus. And then so we added a code basically to our DNA. And what she's saying now is in 2027, right now, the species that we're in a, how did she call it? Not a placeholder species, but like an in-between species from that Saturn one to the one that's coming up in 2027. And the one that's coming up in 2027, telepathy is a big thing, and being able to be in other people's vehicles, bodies at the same time is going to be a big thing, just like that movie Sense8. So these nonverbal kids right now, are they maybe the ones who are going to bridge this first version of our species with this new one that's coming up? First, you, Sherri, what are your thoughts on that? And then we'll ask Janine to pull some cards on that.
I 100% absolutely agree with that. And I have spoken, well, that's why I want to get into the different groups we can talk about, because I think those are the groups coming through. But we'll let Janine pull some cards first, and then we'll go back to the different groups. But I absolutely align with that. And they are preparing us. I think it was a video with you, Jean-Claude, that I did weeks ago where I talked about a girl I had a session with who was also nonverbal, autistic girl, 5 years old maybe, and she told me by the year 2030 would be a huge marking point where telepathy is widely used. And of course, we're not going to be nonverbal society. We still are going to speak. We're humans, but it will be very, like, it will be taught in the schools. It will be non-taboo, and it will be like more of a regular thing. And that was the year that she gave us. So that's close to the 2027.
Fascinating. Okay, Janine, you're nodding your head.
Yeah. I gotta say, I've been doing that most of my life. So when a client comes in, even before they came in, when I was seeing people one-on-one, which I'm not doing because I'm on the front lines here of a war, so I need to be focused. But when I was doing that for years and years and years, what I was experiencing was, first of all, when I knew a client was coming, so I'd look on my books. Back in the day, you actually wrote it in a book, and somebody's coming in, and I would just look at their name, and already it was like I was in them, like in their essence. And, you know, I could already feel some of their issues and feelings, and a whole download would come. It's like these kids, what you guys are describing is channeling. Okay, so when someone asks me a question in a reading, I would often, especially if they asked about a third party who wasn't in the room. So what does my passed on so-and-so think about this? Or what is this person who lives the other side of the world? What's going on with them? I haven't heard from them, whatever they're doing, right? So I literally got into that other person's energy, and I could see almost out their eyes around the situation they're talking about. So you jump in, not every time, but it happens a lot. And you're feeling, and I could even smell smells when I'm in that. Like some people would ask about a potential partner in the future, like a lover they were considering or whatever. And I could literally get in the other person's head and feel how they felt about that person. So, and sometimes that was a bit awkward, to be honest. But yeah, nonetheless. So channelers, if they're doing it right, as far as I'm concerned, have already been doing that. So these kids are just literally channelers already.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Can I, Jean-Claude, before we move on, can I just ask Janine one more point that I wanted to talk about the teen group? Another big question that I get from parents of the children that I work with in this group is that a lot of them are non-spiritual. They don't have any faith in anything. They don't believe in God. They think their parents are woo woo, you know, because they're watching me and they're like, oh, who is this lady you're making me talk to? And the theme that I've been getting a lot around this is that, and this is so fascinating, because a lot of these children are highly evolved beings, souls that come from other planetary systems, other star systems. They come in almost with a cloak of protection in that group because they have such a valuable job to do on this planet. It's almost as if they are being closed off or asleep on purpose, because if they were to truly be awake, their light would be so bright and they would be targets for the dark side or attacks, psychic attacks, to take them down. Is this making sense how I'm explaining it? So they're almost turned off on purpose. But what I keep getting recently is, hey, listen, you're about to be turned on. You know, I've heard anything from 80, 90 to close to 100% of the darkness has been cleared off this planet, like within the last couple of months, consistently. And now they're saying when it's now going to be safe, and you are going to embrace who you truly are, and that spiritual side will come together, because the life force energy will start to flow with ease and much stronger than before, because they don't need to have that protection element around them. Is this making sense?
It's 100%. So what I got while you were talking about it, I got, well, why? I was asking, why are they turned off right now? Because that's what it sounds like you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so because they would be like the dark cult is looking for that kind of light.
Yeah.
They literally put out their radar for it. Okay, so yeah, so they're probing for that because they want to utilize it for their own nastiness. Yeah. They love psychic kids, remember? Right? So so this card came up around it. So it's for their own protection, because this couldn't be a really protective fatherly type card. It's for their own protection. And when the time's right, these kids are going to be utilized. So they appear like they're not connected that way, but you're absolutely right. They're going to get turned on and find their place. And to be honest, like I had no idea, like I was brought up Catholic and I had no idea I was like my spiritual ideas were really repressed by that upbringing. And I wasn't at all, I didn't have any kind of connection that I didn't think I did spiritually, and certainly didn't connect with how my parents saw things. And then right around, as soon as I got my teacher, I got all turned on. And then I realized exactly what my belief system, the cards actually helped me learn what are my true beliefs, because I would channel from the universe how the world works. These kids are going to find their way, trust me. And I feel like you're absolutely right about they're being protected.
Yeah, wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a question on the screen here. Let me bring that up very quickly. And then I also want to ask Janine to pull the cards on this 2027 or 2030 date. But Barbara's asking, Janine, where can we find your classes for learning tarot? Janine, you were telling me you might be making changes to this. Do you want to speak to that now to the audience? Are you ready?
Sherry and I are going to discuss. So okay. I'm thinking, what are we thinking, Sherry? Spring?
February, March of next year, we'll start it up again, because you have a packed schedule already through the end of the year.
Yeah. So we've been doing them on Sherry's website. We had an adult class, then a children, young adult class, like sort of 11 to 16, I think it was. And earlier we tried even younger kids, didn't we, Sherry?
Mm-hmm. We did.
So, but we found maybe 11 to 16 is a really nice sort of group.
Yeah. Or even 18. Yeah. 16 to 18.
Okay.
Yeah. So we just fluctuate back and forth between the adults and the children's classes.
Yeah. But I think we're going to need to extend the classes, because the 4 weeks can be, it's like we were just sampling. Mm-hmm. So 4 weeks is not enough time to really get into the tarot. So anyway, Sherry and I are discussing, so we'll let everybody know. But in the meantime, Jean-Claude and I are making some moves eventually to take all my lessons from Patreon, because Patreon's site is very hard to navigate. And we're going to figure something out with the Patreon, because I also have many lessons, like 30 plus videos there that are all teaching lessons there. So there's that. But we're going to figure something out. And things are going to look better more in the new year around teaching.
Things are in the works, Barbara. Okay. Yeah. And so for parents who want to maybe enroll their children, do you have an intake form, like a waiting list, either Sherry or not yet?
No, I can't, because Janine's classes sell out within a day, and I'll have a list of like 500 people. I can't keep track. So please don't email me, because I can't keep up with the email requests. What I tell people is to subscribe to the Divinely Guided Children's website. There's a subscription. And, a good while before the class, I send out a newsletter. And I say, these are the classes coming up, and that's how you'll know they're there. Please don't email me asking. I just can't keep up.
Okay, let me bring that link down in the chat for you guys as well. All right, there you go. Okay, Janine, let's go back to this idea of this new species taking root perhaps somewhere around 2027, by 2030. Let's ask the cards. Is that in the cards here? Are we actually going to get this? She basically called it a quantum leap in this particular species occupying these vehicles, and what these vehicles will be able to do here starting in or around 2027 to 2030. What can the cards tell us on that?
Okay, a big yes to what she shared there. And just a kind of a sideline, and I think it might fit into what you guys are talking about. So she was basically saying that there's this whole group coming in at about that time, you're saying. So that would make, say the 14, 15-year-olds, now they're adults and ready to really be a big part of our new world going forward. Is that what you'd say that was correct?
I'm not sure. I believe it's people who are going to be born after 2027. If I got that right. This was a very tough show to go through yesterday. There's a lot of data in there, but I believe it's new people coming in, just like in that demarcation of 1781. Essentially, when you take that first breath and that soul comes in, apparently in this window, souls will be coming in with much, much, much more activated DNA. Big yes.
That's a yes.
Yeah.
There's no more to talk about. That's yep.
Wow.
Yeah, I align with that very much, because like there are groups that are coming in for certain purposes, which I could roughly go over real quick. And then once we're anchored in, I keep getting the word anchored. I use it all the time. Once we're anchored into 5D by the Venusian children, the divine children, then it would open up the space for the next group to come through. And that's
okay. I want you to talk about that, because in that show yesterday, I'm like, wait a second here. In history, every time a new species of humans introduce themselves to the planet, go through the list, it wasn't really good for the previous species. They usually get all extinct. Whereas here, what I'm getting into it intuitively is that we are somehow going to bridge those two species, the ones that's here now, and perhaps the children are the people who are going to bridge those two. There's also the idea of the mass exit, which Janine, you and I have talked about here. Some people under soul contracts right now are taking the exit that is available to them, and we don't need to get into that conversation here. But there's also this bridging for the rest of the humans that will stay here and these new ones that come up. So do you want to tackle that a little bit, Sherry, with the different groups that you're seeing?
Yeah. Sorry. I hope you guys can't hear my kids screaming in the other room. So there are different groups of children, and they serve a different purpose. And so again, I want to preface, all children are special, because sometimes I get hate mail that says, oh, you're just saying one category is special. All children, all beings, everybody is special, the animals, everything. But these groups of children come in with a purpose. So the crystal children are the ones that I talked about. They are very super sensitive, and they're here to bring love back and open up the hearts of people. And this is interesting now that I'm pulling it together, and I'll explain it, but they're like bookends. So we have the crystal children that are in their 20s right now. They're super sensitive. They're compassionate. They're loving. They're kind. They're genuine. They don't like war. They don't like conflict. They're very kind, easygoing children. My oldest is one of them. They're here to open up our hearts and remind us what we're truly here, what we're about, to love again, And then we have the next group that are stars. They came in, and they're, 7 to mid-teens right now, and they're the innovators. They're bringing in technology. They're coming from Alpha Centauri, from Sirius, all over the place to bring in innovation. So they're going to be the future, people in space and engineering and all sorts of bringing us into the advancing our technology. They're oftentimes referred to as falsely labeled as Asperger's, which, as we know, we're going to move away from those labels. I guarantee you within 5 years, there will be no more ADHD, Asperger's, autism. That's a whole nother show we could talk about. I have a lot of information on that. But the star children are unique and different. They're very intelligent. They're highly intelligent, and they're not like typical children. They're not going to play with toys. They want to take away part the vacuum, which Carla could talk. That's a good story to ask Carla about. And then we have the rainbow, which is partly the Artemis group. So the rainbow children are the future leaders. They're stubborn, they're headstrong, they will not take no for an answer. They will bulldoze through any wall you put them in front of. They will run the world later, but in a much more harmonious, peaceful way than what we've been privy to. And part of this group, a fractal of this group, is called the Artemis group. And they literally are soul fractals of Artemis, the soul of Artemis. And there's about roughly 20 of them, which we can have Janine check me on this, but there's roughly 20 all over the world, stationed in different places in the world, rather, at different ages. And they are headstrong, one of the most stubborn, difficult to parent that you will ever meet. And they are strong, and they are the leaders they will be huge leaders in a very profound way. And I don't mean like the president. I'm talking about leaders in their community and what it is that they're here to pioneer. And then the divine, sorry, this is the last one. I just put this together. The divine children are the 2019 to 2023, and I talk about them extensively in many previous interviews and in my second book. But what I didn't realize is, and these are so this is the bookend I'm talking about. Sorry if I'm all over the place. They are bringing in the love vibration like the crystals, but they are a little bit higher consciousness. And they will anchor. These are the ones that will anchor us into 5D, so that pure love frequency. And I realized recently, or what I was told, was that these are the Venusian. This is the Venusian group. So there are no Venusians. Very few Venusians on the planet have been allowed to be here before 2019, because the planet, they couldn't be in the vibration of 3D, because they are pure love, and they are here to spearhead us in the 5D love frequency. So hopefully I'm explaining that well, but every group serves a very important purpose, and they have characteristics and personalities for a very specific reason, because that is what they're here to do and how they're here to contribute, and their personalities need to be a certain way.
Wow. Okay. That's one hell of an expose. Janine, on that, do you see a group in there that's coming up in the cards, and perhaps something that we need to focus on? Let's ask the cards here for the parents who are just paying attention to their kids right now, who might seem off to them. As you said earlier, they might be turned off, or they might not be active. Is there like a recommendation we can give to the parents here to maybe recognize that in their children, and then find support for that as well, to encourage and to maybe foster that encouragement, so that they get turned on when it's absolutely time to do so?
I get a big part of also how turned off they are is unconsciously they're coming in, may not be conscious that but on some level, they know that almost everything that's taught is lies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they're like, I don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? So they came here with really big boundaries. I keep getting this idea that they have really big boundaries, but it's for their benefit. So not only does it protect them, but it also helps them go into the future without being programmed. Okay. There's still programming out there all over the place. Parents are trying to program, so if they've got that boundary and stubbornness, and they're not absorbing because they already have a mission encoded, okay, they're going to do their mission that way as soon as they get clicked on. And their soul mission is very specific. That's what I'm getting. So they're destined, and they know everything's changing on some level. So they're ready, but they're not going to go till their time, their moment. Right?
Okay. Janine, I think you just froze on the screen there.
Dying old.
Whoops, I think we just lost Janine there. Were you hearing that okay?
No.
No, okay. Hold on here too. She seems to be frozen. Janine, if you can hear me, just leave the button with the red button here, leave studio, and then try to come back in. We've completely lost your feed here. Let me see if we can. Okay, there. Wait, did you leave?
She'll come back in.
Yeah. Hopefully your connection is resolved. Okay. Okay. Based on what you were saying there, is there anything else maybe coming in for you that you think is important to share with the audience here, Sherry, while we wait for Jeanine to come back?
Yeah, well, I mean, this could be a good opportunity to segue over to the schooling, because that's very important to talk about. Because that's what she was alluding to, is the children, or not alluding, she was saying that the children have a problem with what they're being taught, because on some level they recognize. There she is.
You guys disappeared.
No, you did. You just kind of froze on the screen there. We were waiting for you, like cocked our ears, like, well, no, we can't hear you. Okay, Janine, maybe recap the last 2 or 3 phrases there, because we didn't hear you, and then we'll get into the next topic here.
Okay, so I'm not sure where you guys lost off, but I'm basically saying they're destined, and they're not going to turn on till their destiny. They have an encoding, and it comes from astrological encodement, is what I figure. Like, they're not programmed externally. This is soul programming. So they have a reason to be here. You know, just like all of us in the, you know, on YouTube these days doing this kind of work, like us three, like all of a sudden we got turned on because we were needed on the front.
Yeah.
Right. So they've got this area that'll just click them on if they're listening, and their work will begin. Yeah, it's total destiny. So I don't know if you guys, what part I'm missing there. But
no, we missed all that. So that's good that you repeated that. Absolutely. Okay. Elisa is saying, quantum healing of the soul. Elisa is saying, question here. The starseeds that come to her are mostly have had major trauma in addition to coming to help this shift. So she's asking, will these children have to go through trauma as well, or are they just here to help? So I'm not sure if she's referring to those coming in after 2027. What's your gut feeling on the question here, and what kind of?
So from the children probably born after 2012, this is my professional experience from my clients.
Yeah,
they are not here. They have no karma. Most of them, this is their first life. They're not here to learn anything. They don't need to go through any trauma. And if anything, they're bringing light to their families who have been through a lot of trauma to help wake them up, to help them heal. And that is predominantly why they're here. They're not here to go through any traumas. Now, that's not to say that that's 100% exclusive. There could be some that experience some level of trauma so that they could understand what we go through, so that they could persevere through it and then help later on, perhaps in their job, just like we do. You know, we go through a trauma and then we're like, oh, I want to help someone else go through that. We understand it more. So I'm sure that there are some circumstances like that. But for the most part, these children are coming in with a clean slate, and they are literally here on a mission to teach, guide, and they're really not here to learn.
Okay, very good. So is this the segue here, Sherry, to go into the schooling, into this new earth here? So let's set that up a little bit too. We did talk about that in quite a few of our episodes before, but maybe for the people who haven't watched that show, set up what you're doing and what your dream is, and then we'll try to pull some cards here and to get some further direction for you.
Yeah, gosh, I don't know where to start. So then let's talk about what Janine was saying. These kids, you know, they're like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to learn, because on some level they understand that it's all about the programming, and it's the old matrix. It's the old curriculum. It's the old structure, and they're here to break us free. They know innately. This isn't right. I don't want to sit, and they're not supposed to sit down for 6-8 hours a day with fluorescent lighting above their head, listening to one person teach, not able to move, or like, it's absolutely absurd. I think that's Janine's favorite word. She likes to say absurd. Now I say it all the time too. It's absolutely absurd, right? And so these children, they need to move around. They need to have different activities. They need to have choices. They need to stop being judged and compared to one another. So, a lot of what I see in the new earth structure, that I'm seeing that the children are telling me what they want. You know, we need to get rid of the grades. Like we shouldn't separate children by age group. We should separate them by developmental and maturity levels. So it could be a range. You know, there could be 6-year-olds to 8-year-olds working together. It's all about development, but also their interest, their maturity level. It has nothing to do with gender or anything like that. It has to do with what they're ready for, what they're inspired to learn about. It needs to be more flexible, more free. And we got to get rid of the competition. And all of the older generation really argue with me on this one. They get so mad that I am one of the most non-competitive person you'll ever meet. I mean, literally, I don't care if I've ever won anything, because I'm here to show, like, it's about having a good time and just enjoying your time with people. It's not about competing. And when they teach children at such a young age that they have to compete for grades, and everybody's competing with one another. It's this competitive based structure that our children are learning. So when they get older, it's like they don't look at people as, hey, let's collaborate together. They look at others as competition. You know, I have to compete with that person for this promotion, for this job. So we have to get rid of the grade structure as well, the ABC, those type of grades. You know, the whole system is breaking down, and I am really tapping into what it's going to look like, which is why I created the Divinely Guided Children program, because I see that exponentially growing. And those of you that have heard me talk, you know, I channeled that before I was even pregnant with my daughter Aramis. She came to me as a soul and said, I'm going to be your daughter. I'm going to come in and we're going to work together, and you're going to build this for me. This is for me. This is like, and the children, but she's going to run it. And at the time, I had no idea how profound this was going to turn out to be. But really, this is really significant, because it's changing the trajectory of children and education and how they're taught, and their participation in this. And so it's all about creating what I call youth centers instead of schools, where they're able to have opportunity to teach, grow, and learn together in collaboration with the teachers. So children teach other children. The teachers get feedback from the children, what it is they want to learn. And we need to learn the fundamentals, like in Lemurian times, of stress management, energy, Reiki, what we are. We have a light body. We are souls. It's not just this physical incarnation. What the earth energy is about. Yeah, mindfulness, meditation. All of these are things that these children should learn in school as a core concept. And then on top of that, math. On top of that, perhaps, you know, the reading and the writing. But the core foundation of what our children should be learning are the valuable tools that, as adults right now, many of us could benefit from if a lot of the people around the world knew how to do this and knew how powerful we are to heal ourselves, to tap into a higher consciousness, to make decisions and use discernment and tap into our intuition. Most adults can't do that. And you know why? Because they weren't taught how. They don't believe that they can. So we're changing the trajectory of the future of our children, so that when the next generation comes and they have children, they're going to grow up and this is going to be normal. And that's what this is my soul mission. This is what I'm here to create. So however many centers I'm able to manifest and create around the country and then around the world, I hope that others replicate it and create their own opportunities for children. And so a lot of the ideas that are coming to me are ideas that I've channeled from these children, and they're telling me what they want. Including my own and many other brilliant children. They'll tell you, if people would just take one moment to stop looking at them as, you're a child and I'm an adult. You respect me. You listen. You stay quiet. If we could just take that out of the equation and recognize that they're souls just like us, and many of them are more evolved than we are. They're here to teach us, and we just take a moment to listen. We would learn so much. Yeah. We would learn so much from them. Yeah. They could run the world. Yeah. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what I wanted to get into with the schooling, and see if, you know, maybe we can pull some cards on this structure. You know, I don't see universities anymore. I see trade schools. I see everything. I mean, I could talk for an hour about what it is that I see, but at the end of the day, it's cohesiveness. It's skills building. It's recognizing and collaborating. You know what does this all make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely it does. Okay, before we ask maybe advice on the structures, why don't we ask the cards here how we can support Sherri, because she's undertaking here a monumental task, and we feel the passion in her voice, but at the same time, she's one person here, and we need to corral many more souls here on the planet to that frequency so that we can come together to create these new structures. And Janine and I, the big part that we've been discussing in the last couple of months is the fact that we need to let go of the old structures and not hold down so tight to them so that we can make room for these new structures that need to be created. And they won't be changing the old. It's really about creating the new. So can we speak to that, Janine, a little bit, maybe on your personal point of views, and also to pull some cards here on how we can support Sherri in that work?
Well, I'll just say I feel like I am supporting Sherri. I know what you're asking, but I'm just going to say I had an intuition, and I didn't know anything about Sherri or her work, but my soul always guides me to where I need to go. And I had like about 50 offers to teach, 50 different ways I could have taught when I first started the Tarot by Janine channel, and it got fairly popular. I mean, it took a year, but then after year 2, it started to get really popular. And Sherri reached out to me, and my intuition said, you're going to work with her. And I had no idea why. I had no idea, and I was like, yep, I'm on board with Sherri. Not because she was paying better, not because I had no idea what she was paying. I just went, yep, I'm going to work with you. So we need to intuitively feel if we're supposed to be working with somebody or aligning. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think you have to make a conscious effort if you don't feel intuitively driven, but if you do, then go in that direction. So following your instincts about if that's something you want to get on board with, and supporting her by putting your children in these kind of classes, like that would support, well, the whole future world, because a lot of Sherri's classes are helping children connect and really find out what their true work is, whatever that is. So instead of just teaching them these really basic things, that a lot of the basic things they've been teaching in schools for hundreds of years have absolutely been useless. Nobody even teaches you, basic skills to get along in the world, like how to pay your rent and stuff. And this is back in when like you get thrown out there and you have no idea even how to manage money. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. I like the classes Sherri's got on her agendas, because they're all more spiritual and connecting and understanding individuals and individual sort of skill sets. But they could also stand some, like Sherri said, some hands-on stuff too, right? Some things that are basic skills to how to navigate the earth plane would be good, right? How to work with programming, how to not let yourself be programmed. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff, and there's going to be a lot of need for people to teach in these schools that it sounds like Sherri is going to be starting, right? So we're going to need good teachers. So we're going to need people that go, yep, I have something to share. And if you love children, of course, you have to love them like you're equal. This is the thing I knew I could bring. And this is not a brag at all. It's just a comment. But young people really like me.
I think old people like you too.
Yeah.
I think everybody loves you on my channel, actually. It's because I bridge the gap of all age groups, Janine. You actually do.
But hopefully Sherri knows how I act with the kids. But what I try to do is just treat them like a human. I have a human in front of me. They could even be my great teacher. Okay, but I'm not, nobody's above or below me. So I'm their equal, they're my equal, but I got something right now that they might want to learn. So I'm willing to share it with them, but I'm absolutely curious about them. I absolutely love talking to youthful people. They're fascinating to me. And most of the things I learned, the hardest lessons in my whole life came from my daughter, obvious. Like she came here and just shaped me right up, let me tell you. I had her on my Saturn return, and she put me into ship shape. I couldn't have survived the future that we're now in without my daughter smartening me up.
Can we ask the cards Given the context here, you and I have talked about this. Both of us have actually talked about this. How some people in the health industry now are dropping off and realizing what it is and choosing no longer to participate in that industry, and they're now going to farm these new healing modalities, new private practices as we move into time here. Now, here in Ontario, we have 50,000 and plus education workers who are also going to be put to the door here because of their beliefs on the thing that's going on. So to these people now who are at a position to maybe create the new institutions and structures that Sherri is talking about, what can the cards tell them? Because a lot of them are being stressed to, well, what do I do now? I've been a teacher for 20 years and now I can't work anymore because I don't believe in this particular mandate. What can the cards pull on that? Are those the people who are going to marshal and corral these energies here to create the new here with Sherri?
If their heart's in the right place for it, they have to have a heart for it. I'm sure Sherri's very discerning and she'll vet them, right? So they have to be empowering and understanding of. They can't do the old school, okay, you're going to learn and you have to respect I always tell my two kids, okay, no one gets your respect unless they earn it.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't care less if somebody's older. It doesn't make them nicer, wiser, smarter. I know a lot of really old people that are kind of creeps. Thank you very much. Okay, I also know a lot of really lovely, beautiful old people. But just because somebody's an old person doesn't equal right away they get my respect. Absolutely not. Just because somebody's dressed like a pope, they don't right away get my respect. If they look like a queen and they got a crown on, I don't bow down and curtsy to them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I like to teach kids right away. Of course, go in there. You can't be disrespectful, but wait and watch and see if there's somebody you can work with.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think people will. I'm speaking for Sherri, but she'll want to vet them because if they've got sort of that old programming, even if they didn't want to take the what, and that's how they got out of their job, they might still be too structured and brainwashed with the old programming. It's not going to work. They're going to need to be open-minded and understand that children have a lot to teach you too, and it's sort of a two-way street.
Very good. Sherri, what are your thoughts on that? You're muted. We can't hear you. Hold on. How did you get muted?
Sorry, the kids. They were making too much noise. And I lost my train of thought. The teachers. I can't tell you the dozens and dozens and dozens of emails I get from teachers all over the world saying, "I saw your video, and this is what I went into education to begin with, and then I got there, and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, and I hate it, and now you're giving me hope." So there are a plethora of beautiful teachers out there just waiting to teach within the new system. So, I mean, I have a feeling there's going to be way more than we can take on right away, but there absolutely is a job out there for them. And that's why I encourage people, I am only one person. If you get inspired by what I'm saying, this is not like, Sherri Divban has the patent on these youth centers. Like, open them up in your area, or if you're a group of parents, come and make a pod of your own. Create something in your community. It doesn't have to be at such a big scale that I'm creating, because these children need this right now. And my biggest problem is I don't have patience, and I'm trying to work with investors right now because I don't have the kind of money that I need to create these centers in the capacity that I would like. So I'm working with investors and all sorts of things, and I want these centers open yesterday. So there's a part of me that's very impatient right now. So because I know I can communicate with these children, and I know the need, and I can see it in their eyes. I can feel it. And I want it right now. And so the way we could do that is if everybody not everybody, but a good amount of people watching this say, yeah, I could do that. I'll turn, we'll use the community church. We'll do in the basement, whatever, to create these communities. Or rent small spaces and do something similar. It doesn't have to be at such a large scale. And we can do this a lot faster. We're all co-creating our future with the children. And so if we do this together and we manifest and we put ourselves, if we could just spend a little less time focusing on the dates and everything that's going to happen tomorrow and all of these things that everybody's talking about, we could just focus a few hours every day on manifesting our future and saying, you know what, I'm going to put this aside for right now. Let me just focus my attention and my energy on what I want the world to look like. That's what I'm trying to teach people. Come over here, look this way for just a little bit and focus on what the centers would look like, what the medical system would look like. I say this a lot, so I probably sound like a broken record right now, but it's important. It's important that we focus our energy, because then we can co-create much faster. And that's what it's all about.
Oh, wow. Beautifully said. Everybody just rewind the tape and listen to that.
What she said.
What she said.
I agree 100%.
Wow. We're already 55 minutes into this. I'm looking at our list. Sherri, Venusian children, we talked about Artemis group, schooling and Earth. Okay. I think everything was on the list. Is there anything else, Sherri, that you think is important or that's coming to you now that you'd like to share? Do you want to take questions from the audience? How do you want to... Go ahead.
Sorry. I would like to use this opportunity to have Janine maybe clarify some things with the youth centers that I'm creating. Maybe we could ask some cards about that.
Okay.
I'm working with a certain investment group right now to help me fund these centers. I found a location in my area that we'd like to move forward on. And I just want to see, like, am I personally, as a pioneer in this area, am I doing the right thing? Are you getting positive cards on the trajectory and what I'm manifesting? If that makes sense.
Yeah, there's going to be some holdups. You're going to need patience. This card has patience and trust in universal timing, because this card talks about universal timing, and sometimes we have to give it up to the universe on the timing. You probably already had some holdups and frustrations, and part of the holdup is abundance, so finances, but that's really coming. That's really coming. So don't get discouraged and let all your fears and doubts come up. Like, don't let the largeness of your vision be hampered by, okay, well, I don't know how I'm going to come up with that much. Just imagine, and like you using your own techniques there, and even write down, okay, I need this much by this time, smudge it and put it somewhere and look at it every single time you're starting to worry. You look at that piece of paper and you trust, I'm going to get that. I don't know how magically, but somehow that's all going to come, because you're going to be celebrating and doing, like you've got this. So it may not come exactly when you wanted it to, but I think early in the new year is what I'm getting, where you actually are actually in a building or something. So was that the vision, or was it sooner?
No, I was getting we're getting a hold up right now on finances, and I'm looking at least opening one physical location next year. I would love to open two, but I don't think I'm going to get to two. It'll probably just be one.
Well, let me ask a question to Janine here. Somebody on the screen is saying, hey, this is all awe-striking. We asked for help, and look what the stars sent, the cavalry. Speaking of the cavalry, Janine, you were talking about how in your last couple of years, your readings, you were reading for people who were going outside financially of the old system and maybe investing in gold and silver. And you said that those people would be part, not of Lamborghini buying and stuff like that, but really creating the new world. So for those people who are holding silver and who are about to see the big abundance that we're forecasting with that, are those the people that will be helping the Sherris of the world to create the new? Does that make sense for that silver cavalry theme that we've been getting in the cards here in the last couple of months?
Sherri just has to ask for like open it up wide, and yet maybe even the show could do it. Who knows? Yeah, hey. It feels like just put the word out there that some way you want to manifest the abundance, and it'll come. And then also have an idea in your mind. What do you need? And visualize getting that. You don't know where it came from, as long as it's not from the dark side, right? It's coming from integrity and from somebody who's genuinely interested in the project, or whatever it is some of your ideas around that are, right? So you just have a few kind of tell the universe exactly what you want, just like you teach others to do the same thing, because you're going to manifest it. And I'd say by early in the new year, you'll have your building, or you'll be going forward with it already anyway.
Wow.
Awesome. Thank you, Janine. Can I ask one more question about the animation?
No. Of course you can. I'm just joking. Of course you can. Let me bring that up also for the audience who don't know. Well, first, let them know what this animation is. Let me bring that up on the screen here.
Yeah, this is something dear to my heart, that I had the idea early last year to create animation videos for children. So they're short videos teaching children about the topics, like I mentioned, that they should be learning in school, just more as an introduction, so it can start a conversation in the home. And we have 6 videos so far. They're based on my children. The characters, the names are my children, and then another family member. So, and it's a very passion project of mine. And I'm paying for it by myself, and it's a lot of work. And I just want to know if this is in alignment with the universe and the children, and if I should keep going with it. Like, is it making a difference? Is really what I want to know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to get a lot bigger, Sherry. Yeah, it's going to get a lot bigger. I feel like you're absolutely right on the right track. You're coming from integrity, and your vision is coming from a good place. It's helping. It seems like there's a lot of intuition went into that. Okay, to get the word out. You know what I mean? But you're just going to be tweaking it as you go here. There's a whole bunch of tweaking to do, like changing where you're presenting them, where they're available.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're absolutely, it's a lot of work. It looks like it's a lot. Okay, but there's going to be a breakthrough where the part that's a lot. So I think that's maybe the money again, because getting animators is probably expensive, and creating those programs that create the video itself, isn't that quite expensive?
It is. There's a lot of moving components. I write the script, and then I work with a partner, and then she creates the characters, and then I have child actors. It's a lot. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I feel like you'll have a breakthrough in that too. So just be okay with this. Could take a little time.
Okay, I'll take that.
Thank you so much. You're definitely on the vision was given to you spiritually. So just trust that, and just keep saying, when the timing is exactly right, this will all come together for me.
Okay.
Thank you, Janine.
Any more questions, Sherri?
That was it. Just those 2.
I was just having fun with you. You can ask as many questions as you want. Well, let me ask one question. Janine mentioned how she knew when she saw your name, oh yeah, I'm going to work with her. She had no idea about you. And I was the same way too. For some reason, I just knew you had to be on the show. Many people want to come on the show, and I just energetically, nope. I said no most of the times. So I wanted to ask Janine to pull some cards on how perhaps Janine, Sherri, and Jean-Claude are all connected, and why we were allowed to maybe reconnect in this lifetime, because it feels to me that in previous lifetimes we've always come close, but something would kind of distract us from coming together. So what's our connection, and why are we now allowed? I say that for some reason, it's coming in through my ears, allowed to reconnect.
Wow, I'm getting a weird story.
I knew it was weird. Those are the good ones, folks.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
So Jean-Claude and I were siblings in this one lifetime, and Sherri was connected through a bloodline in the family that was from off-worlders. So Sherri was from another, but part of her connection was physically one of our parents and an off-worlder energy. So she was like a hidden or secret child of an off-world connection in this lifetime. So we were all siblings, but we didn't know about Sherri until later, it looks like.
Fascinating.
And 5, 6, 7. And Sherri spent part of her time on the earth and part of her time somewhere else. I wonder if that's happening to people and we just don't know about it.
Oh yeah.
like all through history. So this was happening, and Sherri never felt like she like belonged anywhere. So it was kind of a difficult lifetime for Sherri. So choosing to really fully commit to the earth plane and human endeavors is new to Sherri, it looks like. And she's really a go-getter there, and like rolling her sleeves up and gonna really help humanity. But you're also bringing other lifetimes, other off-world or wisdom and knowledge. So that sets you ahead a little bit there.
It's
Wow.
funny, when we first spoke, Sherri and I, we talked about off a camera our childhood and how some of those things were connecting, and I just felt there was more to that story. So thank you, Janine, for that. But the second part of that question was also, and now I'm getting more clarity around the question, is who and what perhaps was intervening this time around so that we are able to connect. It feels like there's a lot of work or planning that went into that also for this particular lifetime. I'm curious what the cards would say.
Oh, it was by divine intervention of the war. So the whole, like we all got triggered at the same time. It looks like around what was like our awareness that the whole world's wrong, something's wrong. We had this is like a revelation. I mean, when you're asking a question like this, and then it's next to a mental card, so a thought revelation. So, and then this card is 7 of Swords. So we all jumped on, and it's like we all got lit up at the same time. Like these kids are going to get also lit up when the time's right. We also had a soul contract and lit up, and I think that soul contract's what brought us all together. We have a similar soul contract.
Wow.
Sherri, any thoughts?
I'm just blown away. I mean, I felt instantly connected to Janine back when I saw her in Spiritually Raw, which is how I knew about her. And I instantly loved her. I said, who is this woman? I love her. And I just felt instantly connected to Janine. And she's just so genuine and passionate, but just kind-hearted and just courageous and just genuine. And I don't feel very strongly about many people. And I've also never felt like I fit in this life either. So that's still going on. But, and then Jean-Claude, I saw you in an interview with Elena Denon back when, and I was like, who is this guy? So when you read, like, I really liked your energy. I was like, he's awesome. And then you reached out to me and I was like, are you kidding me? So obviously the universe is bringing us together for the purpose of this spiritual war, because I'm here to protect, guide, and change the lives of children. That's it. That's what I'm here to do. And my 3 children opened up the pathway for that. I truly believe that. Had I not had any children, I may not have been motivated. We all have our driving factors, and Janine coming in and working with the children is such an honor of mine to have Janine attached to my work and the children and Jean-Claude here to like bring us together. I mean, in this narrative, it's just, I kind of want to cry right now. Like, it's just such a beautiful thing.
Well, don't cry. Don't cry. Okay, so last words of wisdom. I'll end with you, Janine. But for now, Sherri, let me bring up your PayPal here. How can people support you here moving forward in some of your projects, whether that be the books, the animations, the centers? What's the best way for them to support you right now?
Yes, thank you for asking. For the books and the animation, that is the way on the homepage of the Divinely Guided. So 100% of the proceeds that I get through donation go right into the animation. If somebody out there wants to support my vision and invest in the future youth centers, please reach out to me directly at sherri@intuitivewellnesscenter.com. I welcome any ideas or any support at this time to help move it forward. So thank you for asking.
Okay, very good. And Janine, how about you? Last words of wisdoms or any other messages, maybe for from the cards here for the audience as it pertains to moving into this new world and really learning from our children? Because I did title this Teaching Children, but in my intro last week when I presented this video to the audience, I said, and perhaps we have to learn quite a bit from our children as well. And you guys echoed that here tonight. So anything you want to share, Janine, before we part ways today?
Well, I've just been really privileged to have so many of my clientele over the years, bringing their children in. And then as the children grow up, they've taken my classes and then they have children. I've been at this a while, obviously, right? So, I was always so honored when somebody would bring their 14, 15, or 16-year-old in for a reading. They must really trust me. And just honored to be with those souls that are going to be part of our future. And I get to listen and watch what my I had a son really later in life, like in my 40s, and he's now 18. And I get to listen to what they're all into and talking about. And I have only absolute respect. And I can't wait to see what they do with the new world. And we're fighting this fight. In my case, I'm fighting it for them because, well, I believe I have a good another at least 20 or 30, who knows, with those med beds, how many years I got, and I'm going to be enjoying it. And I'll tell you that right now. But I'm also looking forward and thinking children and grandchildren and other people's children and grandchildren. We need the world back for them. We can't keep this enslaved situation. As soon as you know about things like that, you have to change it. There's no other way to do it. Like, I couldn't continue to live on the earth plane if I knew we were stuck with that system. It wouldn't work. It's not going to work. So we're getting rid of it.
Yeah.
And we're doing it for the kids.
We're doing it for the kids. There you go. That's the soundbite for tonight's show. All right, folks. You can, of course, follow and support Janine here at Tarot by Janine on YouTube and also on her Sending Ravens account. We're trying to bump up the numbers here to match Tarot by Janine. So please hit that subscribe button if you can. And if you haven't already done so, of course, we're triple casting here on all of our channels here tonight. Please also move over to Sherri Divban here on YouTube and subscribe to her account. And you can find her work also at intuitivewellnesscenter.com. All the links are in the description box below if you're watching this on replay. And last but not least, if you're watching this on Sherri's account or Janine's account, please move over here to Beyond Mystic 3, my third channel. And of course, it is all about nothing. So that's a joke. But anyways, you'll see what I'm talking about. So tomorrow night, Sunday night at 6:30 p.m. I make sure I don't get this wrong here another time. We're going to do Ascension Organite with Carla, the mother of the young lad who channeled the Alpha Centauri message. So you don't want to miss that. That's at 6:30 Eastern, and at 8 Eastern also. On Sunday night, Penny Kelly is coming back for a break in the clouds. And then Monday night, of course, Janine is back on 8 o'clock for our weekly show, the live stream. And on Tuesday with Bryce and Janine, that's going to be absolutely fabulous. And of course, Galactic Tarot with Ashley, a new show coming up. So Ashley, it will be on the show here. That's on the 11th. So 11th at 5 o'clock Eastern. So mark your calendars for that one. Quite a bit of a lineup this week. So folks, that was Teaching Children with Sherri Divban and Janine Morigeau. I'm Jean-Claude of BeyondMystic. I love you guys. Please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you soon. Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Bye.